I'm a Catholic, so everything's hot that's taboo to me. So I love watching that shit.
Everything's hot that's taboo to you.
Yes, when you're Catholic, it's like it's all about like, oh, what shouldn't I do? Oh, that's the hottest thing I could imagine.
I think you want to recant that particular statement, Greg. There are a lot of things that are taboo that you should not look at. And that's how you can get arrested and go to jail and have people kill you in prison.
Well, that if it's as long as it's legal, I should say.
Oh, got it.
Who decides what's legal, really?
Greg. Welcome to another episode of the Law Offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker on this July 27th, 2022, just a couple of days before we take a road trip to Boise, Idaho to go see Ike there in the celebrated show 50 Shades of Gay, where Greg will finally get to meet his boyfriend in person. So that'll be happy days for all. Before we go along too much further, our client for today is a pocket full of climate change.
Behold, trapped in a hellscape of their own invention, socially unaware old white men bound by the pretense of being fake lawyers yet knowing no law, no exquisite Latin terminology, they are inexplicably compelled to quibble over minutia, squabble over triflings, and bicker like those who value their backyards far too highly without even knowing the difference between an easement and an alleyway. At this very moment, you have entered the heart of the law offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker. Let's get started.
Coming to Netflix this fall. A show the critics are saying should not have been made. Seriously, who greenlighted this? Suddenly, the critics were like, what the hell, Netflix? Clean yourself up and go the fuck home already. But no way, Jose. Netflix did not. Instead, they decided to double down, guzzle another bottle of Holocaust whiskey, and painfully give birth to this flaming piece of cinematic garbage. Do you like death? How about mystery? A little redneck love triangle? How about genital piercings? Did you answer all of the above and think, more please? If you did, clear your browser history, grab a bottle of malt liquor, and prepare to experience The Uncle Under the Trailer. Starring Hulk Hogan, Crispin Glover, Nicolas Cage, Roseanne Barr, and Lupe Fiasco as Little Sock. This seizure-induced strobe light fest of blood, gore, kinky, sex, and starfish will have you asking, what the fuck am I watching? The Uncle Under the Trailer. You will be required to sign a digital waiver before viewing. No one will be allowed to watch who has not signed the waiver. As such, Alexa listening pods are a proud security partner with Netflix in bringing you The Uncle Under the Trailer. This film has not been rated or deemed appropriate for viewing, so it's coming this fall on Netflix. Oh yeah, and seriously, clear your browsers, people. No one wants to see that.
I'm detecting a reference to an uncle of mine. Is that what this was based upon? Okay.
The rest of the details were just totally spun out of my head.
Based on a true story.
All I had was I wrote down Uncle Under the Trailer sponsor TV show something. But I don't remember actually any of the details of your uncle's death or whether starfish were involved or genital piercings.
For the best. Yeah, he was mugged by a gang of starfish while he was walking in the Everglades, and that was his true demise. They were like, "Listen, you don't look anything like a starfish. You got to go."
Sounds like dueling banjos, but way weirder.
That's right.
Yeah. They made him squeal like a pig.
It was bantering starfish instead of dueling banjos. They're just starfish saying crap to each other.
I just want to tell you guys something so bizarre. So I didn't get that Brendan was doing the sponsor. So the past hour I've been making one. I'm just going to tell you the first time. We can do it next week. This August, Netflix is proud to present a new documentary. I totally was making a Netflix show too. I made
Bringing up Netflix 2 weeks in a row. I don't know if we can handle that.
They got a lot of money, so it's a good fake sponsor to have.
They might as well give us money.
We should change it from Netflix to Notflix, Greg, and then we can at least avoid copyright issues.
Hulu. I think it should be from Hulu. Just because it's fun to say.
Instead of Hulu, to Who You. Let's try and avoid those usages of actual company names in those sponsors.
Pick up one for HBO Max, Matt. Quick.
HBO Slacks.
Amazon Crime.
What?
Crime? No.
Amazon.
Grime.
Amazon.
Amazon Prime Rib.
You're good at this. You should work for Mad Magazine when it was around.
Sad magazine.
Yeah,
Look
should have
at
had
you.
a job.
He can't stop.
Slob
Nope.
job.
He's got him started now.
Farted.
Well, that's it, folks. Good night.
Yeah. That's having another seizure.
It's
Another
granddad jokes galore.
naked Frank and granddad jokes. That's all we
Some
do here.
more?
All right. Well, why don't we get started? We're going to deal with Pocketful of climate change. That is our client for today. And there are many arguments for and many arguments against. Tends to be the ones against don't have quite as much scientific background. But I want you guys to address these things. So you tell me if you know the proper responses to statements for people who are climate change deniers. For example, Uncle Frank says climate change is natural and normal. We've seen fluctuations throughout history.
This rapid?
How do you handle that? What do you mean by this rapid? Greg?
Hey, shut the fuck up. I didn't ask you that.
Yeah.
What?
Uncle Frank, have another drink bourbon. Shut the fuck up.
That's right.
Drunk
What
idiot.
are you
That's the
talking
right
about? See you
It's
later,
natural and
Brett.
normal. We've seen the climate change it's a hoax. It's natural. It's
Go
normal.
back to your QAnon page.
Seen fluctuations.
What's your blog?
That's not legitimate discourse, Greg.
All right.
That's just telling somebody to shut up.
Yes, there of course has always been changes to the climate. You're right, but that's not the same thing. Do you want to continue? Press yes if you do. No if you don't.
Does he press your left or your right nipple to get that response?
Anything he wants.
Is there high side? I'm too
line
lazy
down
to
the
look
middle.
it up, but is there scientific data that shows like, oh yeah, the fluctuations, we know how long they took. Like it took 5,000 years for it to go 2 degrees hotter or colder in the past, and now it's way faster than it's ever been. Is this out there?
I'll give you your talking point for this, Craig. So what we're experiencing with climate change today is far different than any warming or cooling humanity has seen in rate and in scale. Our present climate change is occurring 20 to 50 times faster than the most rapid climate change events in Earth's history. So this should be a wake-up call.
To Uncle Frank.
In other words, we're the ones who are doing the damage through the out-of-control burning of fossil fuels, not the Earth. But it is within our control, you know. So here's another one. Your cousin Wilma says scientists can't even agree that climate change is happening.
No, the only scientists who disagree are the ones who work for Exxon, who are paid by Exxon. They're the only ones who say, "No, climate change isn't real." They're not real. They're lying.
Only the ones who work for Exxon?
Yes, pretty much. Are there any real legitimate?
What about the ones who work for, I don't know, BP or Shell?
Exactly. Sorry, I didn't include them all.
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure.
Raytheon, all the fucking evil corporations. I'm sure they have many scientists on their payroll.
General Electric.
Yeah, they will say that it's a hoax.
Nike.
Who was
They
this?
They might like that.
Who said this shit? Was this Mildred, did you say?
It was your cousin Wilma.
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 Yes.
Oh, yeah. Wilma, shut the fuck up.
No, cousin Mildred said that the Earth
I
is
don't care
flat.
what podcast you listen to. Go make me a sandwich.
Scientists have stated that they're more certain that humans are causing climate change than they're certain that smoking causes cancer.
The
Wow.
loophole.
Yes. So what we really need is we need a giant warning label across every country, which says continued use of fossil fuels will cause the climate to change drastically so that it no longer harbors life on this planet.
Pregnant women should not use fossil fuels during pregnancy.
Yes. No consumption of fossil fuels is required. Grandpa says, it's so cold outside. Sure could use some of that global warming.
That's why it's called climate change now, Grandpa.
Hey, Grandpa, come here for a second. Get out of here, Grandpa.
That's a legitimate one. So the Earth is on track to warm up to 2 degrees Celsius this century. But winter is not going to disappear altogether in many parts of the world. Record low temperatures will just become rarer. The U.S. did see nearly as many record highs as record lows in the 1950s. By the year 2000, the number of record highs was double the record lows. And as the cold becomes rarer, it will feel more intense and hit unexpected places. So,
Wow.
unchecked climate
give me
change
a
will bring about
warning
other
before-
major... What's that, Brendan?
I'm sorry, I interrupted your TED talk. I was just going to say, will I get a warning when it goes to touch various parts of me, or what did you say?
What'll happen is that your left kneecap is going to be much colder in an unexpected day.
Will I get a text?
You will. You'll get a TED talk from me. I'll send it to you.
Can I sign up for something? Like
you won't need a text. Your trick knee will act up. That's all you'll know.
Hey, climate change is happening.
Well, for some cold weather.
I've got a trend in my kneecap.
My trick knee acted up walking. Yeah. No, I know. Yeah, maybe that's it. It's the heat.
All right, I need to do the appropriate voice for this next paragraph then. Unchecked climate change will bring other major weather shifts in the form of extreme weather events like drought, wildfire, and hurricanes. They'll become more frequent and more intense in our warming world. So bundle up and brace yourself to the extreme weather climate change brings, including the intense cold. All right. Your mom says... What was that, Greg?
That brings me back to my AV club days.
Your mom says plants and animals will adapt to the changes. So your mom says.
Did you say? Mom, did you say adopt? You're so dumb.
I'm adopted? What? Freudian slip?
Your mom says you were adopted by animals and plants.
Yeah, tell the koala bears. They're not adapted.
Well,
pandas.
Roaches won't give a shit. And I'm sure some plants will adapt, but that doesn't help us. The Earth will live on. The Earth isn't going to die. We're going to die.
More than 1 million species are at risk of extinction.
Well, they'll die.
And it seems that dozens of species go extinct every day.
No, the subhead was, but most of them were useless anyway. None of them were chickens or cows or pigs. Who cares?
Yeah, we'll say that climate change is not the top direct driver of the disappearance of species. It's third behind changes in land and sea use and overexploitation of organisms, which are all human caused. So
and overpopulation, probably.
Yeah, species are going extinct at 1,000 times the natural rate of extinction, Greg.
Even more so than when that giant meteor hit the Earth and all the dinosaurs died?
Oh,
that's like an excessive amount of non-roadkill is what I'm thinking.
You're going to get us banned. You're talking about extinction events again. God damn it. Don't
Uncle Frank has another thing to say, Brendan.
TikTok is listening. Fuck Frank.
Uncle Frank says climate change is a good thing.
I thought we kicked Uncle Frank out of the house.
I did, because I don't like Uncle Frank. Get out of here. Get out of here, Uncle Frank. You asshole. Was that my talking point? Did I get that right?
Yeah, I think that's the one how you normally would respond to that.
You won the debate, I think.
Now, your stepdad, though, he says it won't affect me or anyone I know.
That's because you don't exist. You are a figment of my imagination.
Now, is this the stepdad that beat the crap out of you, or a good stepdad?
No, I didn't have a stepdad.
No, I'm saying just this general stepdad Matt's talking about.
My stepdad was a brick.
Is he an abusive stepdad?
Yes, he would be the Trump supporter stepdad.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, no one invited you over here. What? Don't you have a restraining order against my wife?
Yeah, I would have already Menendez brothered his ass when I was 13. He wouldn't be around to bring up stupid points.
Damn that stepdad. All right, well, I've got one particular site that has like 200 pro arguments against climate change.
And who's that by?
But they have also the statements which contradict those particular arguments as well.
The rejoinders.
Yes, rejoinder is the right word. Thank you for that, Brendan.
Are they the same guys who sent us those complimentary emails about our show a couple years ago?
What?
People from Bangladesh and
hey.
No, this is information that comes from some organization which I can't remember the name of.
My dev team listens to our show in Bangladesh. You're getting probably good following there, so don't be bad mouthing Bangladesh.
Some of these statements don't make any sense to me, but they
Are
probably
these
make
from the
sense to
Chamber of
somebody.
Commerce of Butt Lick, Alabama? The township got together.
Butt Lick,
Okay,
Alabama.
what the fuck are you talking about? Are you just saying words?
I'm saying this.
Are you
this
just
could be
saying
200
words?
Statements from 200 rubes and these morons who are just like, "Well, we want to put our 2 cents in. We don't believe in climate change because I got no snowballs in my backyard."
Now, interestingly enough, this comes from the Unitarian Universalists climate portal.
What the hell are
Apparently,
they?
I've been to their
The
portal.
Unitarian
It's intense, man.
Universalists.
yes,
The dawning of the
they have an office in the
age
United Nations,
of Aquarius.
and so they've created a climate portal where they've come up with these various different arguments that people have.
So
So-
they're religious. Are they
in the
religious?
view of full transparency, I actually built a website for a Universalist church about 4 years ago.
Was it you who did it?
I did it.
Okay, well,
I went to the drum circle. I hung out. I did it.
the drum
Also-
circle.
My father was a Unitarian Universalist, I should say.
I thought he was Catholic.
I thought he was an
He
atheist.
was, but then he got brainwashed to become a Unitarian Universalist because they had better sex parties than the Catholics do.
No,
Well-
If you're over 10 years old, you don't get invited to the Catholic sex parties. That's for under 10.
The Catholic
Wow.
sex parties. Is
Lot
that,
of hate coming out of him right now.
is that
It's not
trademarked?
hate, it's true.
Is that trademarked, Greg?
Catholic priests
sex
love
parties?
little boys. It's a thing.
All
I
Catholic
didn't
priests
think of
love little boys.
A lot of them.
Absolutely. A
It's
lot
a
of
thing.
most of them probably.
Could be. It seems like it.
The
Sure.
percentage of Catholic priests that are climate change deniers.
Are the ones that are or aren't molesting boys, because most of them are molesting boys. So we'd have to have, if there's a Venn diagram, we have to figure out what part of the touching of molesting boys and environmental denying is in that. You know what I'm saying?
I'm just saying the Catholics are better at molesting little boys. I'm not saying most of them do. They have a knack
mean,
for it.
The Buddhists,
They're good at it.
the Buddhists had a pretty good run of molesting little boys for years and years. The Romans, oh my God, I think they wrote the book on it.
Well,
That
that's,
was
they
a big-
became the Roman Catholics.
That was just
That's
their
right. I
society.
think I really came from Italy. If you look at really what shitty happened in the world, you can trace it back to Italy.
Hey,
Blow that
hey,
boot,
oh,
just sank that boot into the Mediterranean. Life would have been a lot.
Just embrace your Cuban side more, Greg. While he
Well, the
says
other
things like
shitty
that.
Things come from Cuba. The Cubans are responsible for the other shitty stuff.
Damn.
Oh, yeah, that's so true. So part of your heritage, Greg, is fascist with Mussolini. The other part is communist with Castro.
I know I'm torn.
This explains
know.
everything.
You just put that down on your application to MSNBC, and they're like, "Come on, come on, you got the right
the
mix.
fascists,
You're like
they
a
wouldn't like the
You're
fascist side.
like a dachshund to us. You're just the perfect mix. Go over there.
You can't be an Antifa, Greg. You're just a KOFA.
Kofa.
Communist fascist.
At the Kofa. The
Kofa
Cabana.
I'm going to start the Kofa Cabana, where fascists and communists can mingle.
You know, it would work in Portland. I can't.
No,
Can't
when it
remember
would
the-
turn into a
The
riot.
number of times I've seen goofy, quaint, clucky little names like I sent one to. I forget what it was. Something about a pizza
Fried
place.
egg, I'm in love. That one.
That was, it took me a minute to get that one. No, it was the
Hey!
life of pie. The life of pie pizza.
Oh, that's so cute.
That's
Well, it's
cute
based
for,
upon a
like,
book, though, Greg. Life of
Or
Pi.
for you.
I know, but it's cute for. It's got a lifespan. That's not going to be cute like we were framers. You know that. Anyway,
I just thought of the
I
best
digress.
place for a Thai place. Pho Druckers.
For a Thai
Who?
place?
Yeah, pho. Oh, Vietnamese. Sorry, pho. Vietnamese pho. Pho. Because for some reason in Portland, there's a law that every pho restaurant has to have a cutesy name involving pho, like a putty, like pho you, or I can't think off the top of my head. Every single pho place has a cutesy pie name. Like
I have
oh,
not
it's
seen that with pho places,
a
actually, Greg.
thing. So
No,
that's
I
why
mean, I've
pho-
seen a number. There's a number of them in this part of town. They don't have
Maybe
cutesy
you didn't
names.
get the pun. You just didn't get the pun.
Sure. I think that if it's legitimate Vietnamese, they're not creating puns with
What
their
about
name.
if I open a Thai and Vietnamese place called Pho Gul?
Fagul?
Fungul. Pho Gul.
You just serve
Let
mushrooms
me go
there.
back to, there's that part that sticks out from Europe into you just push that into the water. We'll be more.
The part that sticks out from Europe. So
Yeah,
that would be the Straits of
Partnership.
Gibraltar.
Them too. Might as well. No one lives there. No one cares.
You mean the greasy people?
The
They're
greasy
all
people.
greasy. Yeah.
You're talking about the people who live in Greece?
The Southern Europeans, like my people, were all sweaty and greasy, swarthy.
That is the birthplace of Western civilization, though.
And swarthiness. That's where swarthiness was invented.
That's where swarthiness
That's
was.
the cause. That's the cause of global warming.
How do you define
this-
swarthy, Greg? I'm just curious.
The
Southern European, kind of dark, hairy, sweaty. You touch their skin, it's a little greasy all the time.
That's not what swarthy means.
Oh, it means hairy, right?
No,
Kinda.
it doesn't. Swarthy
What?
just means dark-skinned. That's all.
Really? I thought it meant you're kind of a little hairy too.
No.
never
I
knew
mean,
that.
I suppose you could add that on if you want to. Here's a more complete definition: is of a dark color, complexion, or caste. So, but it doesn't have to do with hair.
So you
Hairy
could totally-
basically comes under that, or furry would be something that would describe that, but not
I'm
swarthy.
not a furry. I'm a furry.
You're a furry of yourself. So a furry.
So-
All right, back to global warming, climate change. So here's a climate myth. There is no consensus, but it turns out 97% of climate experts agree that humans are causing global warming. So
Yeah.
there is that consensus. Then there's the 3%. One of the things I was reading says that it's the media really that positions it because they want to be balanced. So they'll find somebody who disagrees with the consensus. So it comes
Yeah.
across seeming like there's 50% of scientists, but in reality, it's just this 3% individual who is against climate change with 97%
Or an
of
Exxon's
scientists.
payroll.
Or that as well.
right.
You know, the 3% reminded me of when we were at the grocery store, Brendan, and my mother called and asked for 0% milk,
Yes. We found it.
Is that
Which is-
skim?
which is water. 0% milk is
Zero.
water or nothing, or dust.
I was Googling
Basically
for like
anything else
20
except
minutes,
milk is
trying to figure
0%
out
milk.
What is the essential juice? The juice that's in the milk that isn't milk.
The
At
essential
what point
juice.
is milk not milk? When does it change from milk to something else?
To air. I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't find the threshold anyway.
Like, how
I
much
think-
of the milk substance has to disappear before it's no longer milk?
I would like to mix the essential juice with the precious spice from Dune. I think that would make a lovely mixture.
You'd have spoosh.
Could be.
Oosh.
Spoosh juice.
You were
That's,
gonna make
that's a,
you were gonna make a point? Smash?
that sounds like a cute Portland restaurant.
I don't know if I
Spoosh.
had any point. I was just
Oh.
saying that I was bringing up the story because whenever you throw in the word percentage, it reminded me of
Oh, the
the
percentage.
percentage story of milk. So, before I forget, I was supposed to bring this up. Somebody had talked to me about this briefly, and they said you should talk about this on your podcast. So I'll bring this up. This has nothing to do with climate change whatsoever. It was just a topic of conversation. This guy he had a concern because he found out that hospitals are selling the skin from circumcisions
Mm-hmm.
To who? To restaurants?
to science, to people who are
To
using it.
sausage makers?
To possibly to shampoo makers. I don't know, to whoever would use it for testing substances. So they're selling the circumcision skin. So he thinks that circumcision is a big racket because of that. Like they're forcing people to have circumcision so that they can sell the skin and make money off of it. You know. And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, if is there a big market for people who are buying wallets out of baby circumcision skin so that they rub
I
them?
have a
They
That's
turn
what
wallet.
they're
into
calling
briefcases?
conspiracy.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there was also like that. What was that? Stem cell research. You know?
Step, you just stomped all over that horrible joke of mine, Greg. It's just bad.
Oh, I guess I didn't get it. Sorry.
Yeah, well, it's because I didn't get through finishing it.
You made a
were ta-
wallet?
you were talking over. I said, yeah, you buy a wallet that you can rub and turn into a briefcase.
Because it's foreskins.
So it grows.
He's still
Yeah.
thinking about it.
I got it.
Is it the
By
heat getting to you?
Jove,
The
I
heat,
think I got
the
it.
heat prevented you from figuring that joke out.
Fucking mad here. I'm like, I walked home from work that I was gonna fall over. It's like I had to walk 25 minutes of this shit.
Yeah. You know,
What?
it's not that hot outside. I'm not gonna
Oh,
lie.
fuck you.
Just saying.
Your air conditioning apartment.
No, it's not that. He came from Florida, Greg. He has no
I
humidity
know.
here, so it's
I
a
know,
much it's a much easier heat to deal with if there's
I
no
know.
humidity.
I know. I grew up in New York. I know.
Yeah. So anyway.
It's
Okay.
nasty. Which is
Uh,
better than Florida. It's shitty.
It didn't
I
help you with
have-
getting acclimated, though.
I have heard about foreskin conspiracies
Oh yes,
in the past.
they do
I
exist.
can't say that I never did a dive into that foreskin thing, but
You know where it started? It's that Kellogg guy, the big health nut. The guy started Kellogg cereals, and he had like all these spas because he was really into like in the 1800s. He was like, we must get back to living naturally and eat wheat germ and blah blah blah. And he was also a lot of those guys were also thinking that people's bad health and dissolution was because of masturbating, and having a foreskin makes masturbating a lot better. They didn't have lube at easy access in the 1800s. It's natural lube. So they figured by circumcising children,
Wait, what?
they wouldn't want to
A
masturbate.
foreskin is natural lube? How is that?
my brain broke.
Think
I don't
about
know
it.
what happened. Oh.
Think about it. You got smacked. I was circumcised.
Yeah,
I
but
didn't
the
know-
skin itself is not a natural lube.
No, but within it. So basically, it's a sheath with lube in it. So like when you jerk off, it's like, oh, that feels even nicer. I don't know
No.
personally.
No.
I don't know personally. Wait, do you have a foreskin?
No.
That's what I mean. You don't know.
So
That's
you
what
don't
I
know
mean.
either, Greg.
Well, I've read
No,
things
no,
about
I have two boys-
circumcised
I have
people,
two
and I
boys
know
that
the
do.
history. I know the history of Kellogg. This guy.
Yeah, I know. I saw the movie.
He
It was
championed the pro circumcising movement for Gentiles. You know, it was always a Jewish thing because he thought that less kids would want to masturbate. It would make it less feel good.
What I heard is that Kellogg's first cereal was actually called Special C, and they used the dried circumcised foreskin and made it into cereal.
No, it was called Smegma K.
They had little Oompa
And you didn't need
Loompas
milk.
They would shock
You could
them
have
into the little-
0% milk in that. Just Smegma would moisten it.
It's high amounts of protein with your 0% milk.
Yeah, but the Smegma would keep it wet and it would just be dry.
Right. This is our best episode ever.
Now with more Smegma.
That's our sponsor next week.
No, I should have thought of that, damn it.
you
I shot my
didn't have a reason to think of it, Greg.
I mean, but I'm always trying to come up with sponsors. It's always confusing, but that would have been a
All
wonderful.
right, you got it. You got Schmegma.
I can bring it back.
Yeah, you
At
got
the
it.
very least, that's a new T-shirt slogan. You've got smegma.
Here's a little aside.
Or got
I was in high
smegma?
school.
Got
I was in a
smegma?
band.
0% milk.
In high school, I was in a short-lived punk band called Schmegma Egg with an H. Just
Schmegma
that-
egg.
Someone might find that interesting.
Schmegma egg?
It rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? Schmegma Egg.
No, not really.
No.
It doesn't roll well. Actually, it's kind of like rolling a four-sided die.
That works.
Really? Just four sides works where
Work.
it's just rolling a square, Greg, is what that is.
Let's ask Brendan. He's the expert. He plays D&D. Do you ever roll a four-sided die for hit points?
Yeah, you have a four-sided die in D&D.
You do?
Yeah, it's a pyramid.
And it rolls a little?
It rolls a little. It rolls. And it randomly
rocks
changes.
and
Not as
rolls.
much as something that's like 20-sided, because that's how math works. You know, if you have more options than your
No, I know,
less,
but I'm
then
saying
there'll
so.
be
A
more-
four-sided
Wait,
die will
chance.
roll.
I want to know how math works. Tell us how math works.
I don't want to. I no.
Let's start a whole new podcast called How Math Works. I'll just explain math.
Well,
Yeah.
first it gets a job, and then it goes
I-
there for 9 o'clock in the
I
morning.
was just fascinated how we went with. There's a four-sided die. I don't even know how we got to that from foreskin. I guess it's related. And then it was Brendan knows he plays D&D, and then I explained it, and then Greg asked the humble question of, does that mean it rolls? And I'm like,
Rolls off the tongue, Matt made the joke about it. Rolls off the tongue.
Ed
The four-sided.
Schmegmeg.
Schmegmeg.
Yeah, no. It's a terrible name.
I guess it sticks to the tongue.
It rolls like a two-sided die, Greg.
There you go.
Is that better?
A
Does that help?
one-dimensional point.
Is that
It
better?
rolls like a
Rolls like a coin.
That's a coin.
Right.
Yeah. You can spin it. You could like.
a coin can roll.
Yeah? All right, fine. A one-sided die, Greg. Is that better?
It's a point.
Got me there. Check.
Not down to one
Basically,
dimension.
it's a portal to another dimension is what it is at that stage.
So I want to say, though, the thing about climate change that makes me so sad is that
Yeah.
even if somehow every like Exxon head and factory said, we're going to do this, I don't think it would matter because everyone else is doing so much bad shit. I have so many friends who are so liberal, would totally be like, oh, those climate change deniers, they're full of shit. I recycle. But then they still don't do much. They still are pretty wasteful. And I am too sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna throw my cigarette butts in the ground. I know that's little, but it all adds up, all that garbage and shit. But it's like, I grew up thinking that it was all them, the bad guys, the big corporations were spewing their toxins in the environment. But all of us, nobody wants to stop driving their car. Nobody wants to stop eating meat with all those cow farts, getting into the atmosphere.
Wait, people are eating
that
meat with
methane.
cow farts?
You know that cow farts are like one of the biggest things of methane in the atmosphere, and it really adds to global warming.
I thought you could add a side of it when you ordered a steak, maybe. It's like, I would like my steak medium rare with a side of a cow fart.
Or they just heat it up with that.
There was a girl on TikTok or YouTube or something that was selling her farts in a jar.
Yeah, didn't we talk about that in some previous episode? It sounds familiar.
Wait, what'd you do about cow farts? I missed that. Sorry.
What?
A girl on TikTok?
That was on OnlyFans, I think. Did you say OnlyFans or TikTok?
She would put the jar up to her ass and and then screw on the thing and then send it to you for $100.
So is this another TikTok user who doesn't listen to our show ever? Is this the same one?
One of many who don't listen.
You know that she's
who pop in and then they walk away. We've got 2 likes so far today.
That woman makes so much money, especially to Japan, overseas sales. There's Japanese salarymen buying that shit like $200 a bottle, I bet.
You're just a racist towards Japanese business.
No,
aren't you,
it's not
Greg?
racist. It's a cultural thing.
It's a cultural thing to buy farts in jars.
Japanese like to use panties and vending machines.
Yeah, but do they specifically like farts in jars, Greg?
I wouldn't be surprised.
But you don't know this.
You're just
like I said, you're being a racist. Is basically what you're saying. Yes,
I know their culture.
Absolutely.
I'm being a sociologist.
You know you're a sociologist today, are you?
I watched that some hentai.
You're going to have your own channel as the Naked Sociologist. Today on the Naked Sociologist, Greg says all Japanese like farts in jars.
Does that look like a pepperoni?
They're likely to, compared to any other group.
Compared to any other group.
They're perfect country.
Your science once again does not seem to hold water, Greg. You are a climate change.
It's not science.
Oh, that's
sociology. That's not really a science. It's just kind of like
it's just like guessing about what happens with groups.
You have to guess. No, it's not an exact science. Sociology. It's not like physics or
right. I agree.
Is physics an exact science?
Well,
it is when you use measuring tools.
Yeah. I mean, if you can duplicate it, the scientific method, it's like, okay, I say this, and if everyone can duplicate it, they're like, yeah, I guess.
What if the scientific method was based on sociology?
That wouldn't be good science.
It's based on a myth.
It was based on science.
No, it was based on a cult of Greek philosophers that lived on an island, and they went, you know what? Let's do this, and that's how it started.
What island did they live on? If they were Greek,
the island of Jondo. I don't know.
What?
No, I think it was Nambla Island. They lived on Nambla Island.
No, it wasn't.
That's where Nambla got the name.
No, that was Athens. That was different. These guys were on an island. They were fishermen, hardy, swarthy fishermen.
Swarthy.
They were
didn't believe in climate change.
They were the fishosophers is what they were.
They were the Spartans that just couldn't deal with the pussification of their country, and they jumped in the ocean and swam to Fuck Off Island.
Yeah.
Started
Fuck
a
Off
whole culture.
Island.
That's a great reality show name. this week on Fuck Off Island, where all these social misfits go and just be all weird together.
Kind of how I feel right now. Like, you know, trying to get an apartment in Portland is kind of like I live on Fuck Off Island. Like, hey, you hip millennial cool chill people who are just trying to create a vibe. I need a place to live. And they're like, no, you're over 35. And I'm like, I will fucking kill you.
And they're like, that's why we don't want you living with us.
Oh,
It's because
God.
of that attitude.
Dude, I get that at work all day. Like, I'm a pretty quiet guy. I work hard, you know. I don't, but you know, every now and then I chat, and all the young people there just treat me like I'm fucking, I don't know, like the
You're a
boogeyman.
monster.
So
If
they
every
treat you
second-
like that at Fried Egg, I'm in Love, but that sounds like a very non-hip place to work.
No, it's very hip. It's like half the people there are trans, and they're all young,
Yeah, but you know what?
enlightened people.
So you put the am in their trans, Greg.
The ham.
You're
I said the am. They're trans, you're am.
You're abling their
Oh.
bullshit in that they are a fucking bunch of little fascists. You're just not part of what they want. Anybody over 40, they're like
No, but-
Logan's Run. If you
No, but
can't
the-
look good with makeup on as a guy, you should probably be dead. That's kind of, I think, how it works.
Oh, but you're right in that sense. Is like it's they don't even know my politics. They don't really talk about anything like that. And it's like they just assume like, oh, this guy's old and white and cisgendered. I'm sure he's kind of a church. So like, there's people at work where I come in the morning and I say, like a 19-year-old kid, I'm like, good morning, and they just look away from me like I don't exist. It's so
Bullshit.
weird. It's
What
like,
an awesome response to you.
I know. They literally
Good
don't
morning,
even-
and then just turn.
yeah.
Yeah, I'd get fired within a week because I'd smack that kid after a while. I'd grab him by his fucking man bun and smack him into the counter.
And that's Brendan profiling now that they have man buns.
Does he have a
Man buns are
man bun?
kind of faded away, Brendan. They were a lot of man buns 10 years ago.
The guy that we met.
It's rare.
Matt, so that you're not, you know, the guy we met, we met with the girl and the guy for the karaoke gig. That guy had a man bun. He did.
No, they still exist. I'm just saying it's a lot less.
It's less.
not
Okay,
as-
fine.
It was
There's not as
huge.
many. There's not as many mullets in Florida either, but there are some. You know,
Okay.
There's a lot of mullets here. It's kind of a hip thing for young hipsters to have mullets.
I think
Mullets are hip now?
Yeah, well, they've been actually for like 10 years. Like guys who are like punky metal. It's just like, fuck you.
I don't know
care how
about
bad
10
I look,
years.
I guess.
I don't know about 10 years, Greg.
Matt, you don't hang out with punk rockers and metal guys. You...
Well, neither do you.
Yeah, I do.
No, you don't hang out with anybody.
I know, but I do a little.
I do, but I want to.
I have friends, and every now and then I go out, and they have younger friends.
And they all have mullets. So you're hanging out with all the people with mullets, is what you're saying.
Not a lot of them. A few do, though. I mean, it looks so bad. Like, I work with this guy. He's the bartender at the job where I work. And he's such a good-looking dude. Like, he could be a fucking male model. But he's got this stupid fucking mullet. And I know it's like, oh, yeah, I don't want to be too pretty. I want to, you know, like, almost make myself look ridiculous. And that's what I think it is. It's like, I don't want to buy into society's norms.
Fascinating.
When did
theology.
this become a woman's magazine? All of a sudden?
I
What
don't
he's
know,
really
but I
doing-
think that's a perfect time to move into our cooking segment for today.
He's calling out for help.
Wait, I want a new segment. I just made a new segment about like how do you know he's not that into you? 10 things. I want to do this every week. Is that okay? Can I just
Yeah, you can start talking about like how to use smegma for that purpose.
how to
all
make
right.
your man happier in the sack?
At Safe Mart, it's a Safe Mart. Time to Safe Mart and be safe.
Safe Mart is a proud sponsor of Food is for Eating with Waspy Soda Pop. Today's special, 1 pound of Bobby Joe's instant meringue topping with 100% lard for only $1 at Safe Mart. Come get some. We're better than Piggly Wiggly. Be safe.
Food is for eating. Food is for eating. Food is for eating with Waspy Soda Pop.
Hey there, everybody. This is Waspy Soda Pop with a new edition of Food is for Eating. This is probably the best recipe yet. It's quick and easy. It's classic. It's authentic. It's simple. It's easy to make. It's classic baked Alaska. Here we go. First, you want to get 8 tablespoons, 1 stick of an unsalted butter, any type of unsalted butter you want. 1 cup of granulated sugar, 2 large eggs, not ostrich eggs, chicken eggs. Get large ones of those. You don't want like big emu eggs or nothing like that. 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour, 1/2 a teaspoon of baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon of kosher salt, 1/2 cup of whole milk, 1 container of Bobby Joe's instant meringue topping. You can get that at your local Piggly Wiggly. And then finally 1 square foot of vegetation-free Alaskan tundra, which you can also find at your local Piggly Wiggly. But if you don't have one of those, you can book a cruise or fly on Alaskan Air and go directly to Alaska and visit the tundra, but make sure you bring a shovel. All right, now to your instructions on how to put this together. First, you want to place the 1 stick of unsalted butter in the bowl of a stand mixer. Let it sit out at room temperature. Arrange your rack in the middle of your oven. Heat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Coat a 9-inch round cake pan with cooking spray. Line the bottom with parchment paper. Add 1 cup of granulated sugar to the bowl of butter and beat with the paddle attachment if you have a paddle attachment. Otherwise, just grab an oar. That'll work for you too. Anyway, put that on a medium-high speed until light and fluffy, 2 to 3 minutes. Add 2 to 3 large eggs, once again, chicken, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Continue beating until the mixture is smooth and lightened in color, about 2 to 3 minutes. Turn that mixer off. Add 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour, 1/2 a teaspoon of baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon of kosher salt. Kosher salt, not the other kind. Mix on low speed until smooth, 1 to 2 minutes. With the mixer running, gradually add 1/2 cup of whole milk. Continue mixing till the batter is completely smooth. Scraping down the sides halfway through mixing, 2 to 3 minutes total. Scrape the batter into the cake pan. Spread into an even layer. Bake until the cake is lightly brown and a toothpick inserted into the center comes out clean. Not one you've been chewing on, a regular unused toothpick. Anyway, it should take about 25-30 minutes. Place the pan on a wire rack. Let the cake cool completely in the pan. Finally, you want to empty the container of Bobby Joe's instant meringue topping into a bowl and beat it till the meringue is glossy, forms stiff peaks. That takes about 2 to 3 minutes. Here's how you assemble the baked Alaskan. Arrange an oven rack 12 inches below the broiling element. Set the oven to broil. Line a rimmed baking sheet or broiler-safe cake plate with aluminum foil. Invert the cake onto it and discard the parchment. Grab your vegetation-free square foot of Alaskan tundra, gently invert it onto the cake. Use an offset spatula to spread a thick layer of meringue over the entire cake. An ice cream dome. Use the tip of the offset spatula to create tall peaks in the meringue that will brown when torched. Then, guess what? Torch it! Transfer the baked Alaska onto a serving plate. If needed, serve and slice immediately. Howdy do. That is an authentic, classic, simple to make baked Alaska for your eating pleasure. This is Waspy Soda Pop. Food is for eating. See you next time.
So does Waspy Soda Pop have his own restaurant where he does all these recipes?
I think it's somewhere in the back of a trailer is where I think it is.
What is it called? I'd like to go sometime.
It's called Waspy Soda Pop's Back of the Trailer. I don't know what the hell it's
Back
called.
to the trailer.
Now, why couldn't you use a toothpick that's been in your mouth with the saliva? Fuck it up.
Well, you could potentially have splinters going into the sponge cake, so you don't want that to happen.
Yeah, but Alaskan turf is fine. You would want some splinters in there.
Well, in the tundra part, yeah, that wouldn't matter. But if you put it in the sponge cake itself, you don't want that to damage.
It's all going to go in your mouth anyway.
That's right, exactly. Hey, we have a legitimate question for Ask Greg today, so why don't we get that one going?
So that's like a mud pie, kind of.
I'm off the hook. Good.
That's a real mud pie.
No, it's a baked Alaska, Greg.
I know, but it's got tundra. It's got mud.
It's also got Bobby Joe's instant meringue as well.
Should you use 0% milk in that or 1%?
Yes.
I think 0% is the best way to go.
Negative 2% milk should I use?
I can tell you something for sure. Tundra smells awful.
Remember that, boys and girls. Tundra smells awful.
Don't eat it, kids. It probably tastes like it smells, which is.
Is it just all
fucking
moose
awful.
shit? Is that why? Is it like polar bear and moose shit? Why does it smell awful?
I don't know. It's just an awful smell. Like you walk out onto it, it's like, and I'm like, oh.
It's probably from the deaths of many, many small animals over the millennia. Just the bacteria wafting up from them.
I think it's a methane. I think that's part of it.
Yeah.
Oh, could be. It's
I don't
like
think you can like light
it's
up.
bacteria farts.
Yeah,
what
it's
it is.
gross.
Instead of
Anyway.
cow farts.
Worse than
All right.
California.
Moving on. Moving on to our next fun segment of the day. Here we go.
He has an opinion, may not always be right. He's a real fake lawyer. He's old and he's white. Ask him a question, 'cause he's a good egg. For bogus advice, ask Greg. Ask Greg? Ask Greg!
Well, this is the segment of the show, everybody, where Greg provides his wit and, let's say, years of knowledge as a fake lawyer to provide legal advice to people. So this is called Ask Greg. So here's our question for today from Sanchez El Dorado. Dear Greg, my cousin Wilma is an evil scientist for a multinational oil company, but is super hot. Will I lose my membership in the liberal lefty club if I sell out long enough to bump uglies with her behind the taco hut?
I don't think so. I think as long as it's just so you can bump uglies with her, but you don't really believe it. Because we talked about this lies to get between the thighs episode. What was that?
Those who pry thighs use lies.
Yes.
That was a different client.
So yeah, that's what we've already established, legally established, that many men will just tell anything, any old lie to get in between a woman's legs. So it's like, you can be like, guys, I'm still pure. I just wanted to fuck my cousin. That sounds great. At a meeting of the local lefties. I just want to fuck my cousin. I don't really mean it. So I think you wouldn't lose standing.
But if you do it behind the taco hut, does that change anything?
Oh, I don't think so. No, I mean, there's no legal precedent for incest, the location.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so that's a whole other issue.
Whether tacos are in the proximity or not.
Well,
Yeah,
what about
hamburgers.
what about the property rights of the Taco Hut guy and
The copyrights, did you say?
Property rights. you
Property
said.
rights on his colorum ad valorem proboscis.
Yes.
Is what?
E pluribus unum says that.
Right.
Calorum
Yeah, it's-
abalorum proboscis?
Yes.
Yes. Are you
He's a
familiar with that one?
mosquito. He's a
That is.
mosquito. That carries the malaria virus.
Gluteus Maximus states that that's trespassing. That's a good old fashioned trespass. So he trespassed, committed incest. That's the issue here legally. Whether your lefty friends are annoyed with you for like lying about it.
Well, he didn't say what kind of cousin it could be. It's like, how far out can a cousin be before it's no longer
That's
incest,
true.
Greg?
He didn't say, but he just said cousin.
Is it second,
First
third,
cousins.
fourth, fifth cousin? When
When I
is
say
it no
cousin-
longer incest?
I think when you say cousin, that's all I have to go on. That means first cousin.
Well, sometimes people use the word cousin as like a friendly term, like, hey, that's my cousin. Like they're not
That's
really
true.
a cousin.
So I don't know. Get back to Sanchez.
Who does that again?
Some
Yeah.
people.
Which
Yeah.
people?
Witch people? Yes,
Yeah,
witch people.
Which people?
Actually,
refer,
it's witch people that do that.
which people refer
Witchy
to their
people?
friends as cousins.
The witches
The
on
people who are witches. The witch
Mm.
people.
TikTok.
They're the ones.
You've been watching a lot of Kelly Conway, haven't you?
On and off of TikTok. Yes, Kelly Conway is one of the witch people. You
She
get a
is.
good look at her, you can tell.
Does she worry about witches that are
She's
like
a lizard.
bugaboo?
She's a lizard.
Witchcraft? So yeah, it's I think I need to know. I think in South Dakota though, first cousins are just fine.
What about North Dakota?
Oh sorry. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
They're all the same. Whatever. The Dakotas. Let's just say the Dakotas.
Like Dakota Fanning, Dakota Johnson.
Yeah,
It's like
any cousin will do.
it's
any
Iceland
cousin.
up there. There's not enough people to go around. They got to.
Yeah, so
Any cousin will do. Wasn't that a song from like Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat?
I don't know.
Joseph and the Tech.
You mean-
no?
No, you're thinking of love the one you're with, even if it's your cousin.
Okay.
But I think I also think that like in the Dakotas,
uh-huh.
I mean, sometimes even if you haven't hung out with your sister for a certain amount of time, it's okay. I haven't seen my sister in 2 years. She was at college. I can fuck her and
No.
marry her.
Does Maria know this?
No,
I'm not in
Brad.
the Dakotas.
Oh,
so
okay.
It wouldn't be legal for her.
I'm the dissenting opinion on the fuck your sister. No. And don't say that you're live on TikTok. They will track you down, man.
Yeah, I know. We do have one person watching on TikTok right now. So they should
Yeah,
know that
links
this is
to-
going live right now on YouTube if you want to hear all of the foulness that the other guys are saying. Not me, but they are. It's at the law
What are they
offices of
saying?
Quibble,
Tell us.
Squabble, and Bicker. No, I'm talking to them about you.
Oh,
Yeah.
but I mean, we might get a lot of audience of all those step porn guys, which seem to be legion.
Step porn guys.
It's like half the porn on RedTube is.
There are
Like,
people who like buy
Yeah.
steps and then they have sex with their steps.
yes, Matt. That's very obvious from what I said. No, like every other video you see on porn is stepbrother, stepmother.
Every other video I see,
Yes, I'm not being Greg now.
You're
Typical
not being-
histrionic Greg.
you're not being Greg. Who are
I'm
you
not
being?
typical histrionic Greg who always says everybody does this. When I mean it's 5 people do it. This is literally, you go on porn now. It's like the mainstream porn site. It's like every other video is like step something, like some kind of family. There's like hundreds of sites. Family secrets, family fun time.
That doesn't seem to bode well for society that
I
those are
know,
really
it's
popular.
weird.
But time out. Choose me, boss. As a digital marketing person.
No, if you're going to say that, you got to go, excuse me, boss.
Excuse me, boss.
You're gonna get us
Greg-
kicked off
what
YouTube
Greg
again,
sees-
or TikTok.
No,
Doing
listen
step and
up. Listen
fetches
up.
voice.
Time out. What Greg says or sees is going to be different than what you see, Matt, or what I would see. Just like all of our YouTube channels are different, all of our porn
Because I
channels are
looked up
different.
some step porn, and the first time I got to it, there you go. I didn't really, but then I did watch them, and I'm a Catholic, so everything's hot that's taboo to me. So I love watching that shit.
Everything's hot that's taboo to you.
Yes, when you're Catholic, it's like it's all about like, oh, what shouldn't I do? Oh, that's the hottest thing I can imagine.
I think you want to recant that particular statement, Greg.
No, it's not.
There are a lot of things that are taboo
what
that you
Catholics-
should not look at.
No, you should look.
And that's how you can get arrested and go to jail and have people kill you in prison.
Well, that if it's as long as it's legal, I should say.
Oh, got it.
Who decides what's legal, really?
Greg?
Whose
In your
judgment
boner?
is that?
What's legal in your boner? That's the real-
Greg decides what's legal. Just ask him.
No, I know it's legal. It's not legal. I mean, child pornography is illegal. Luckily, I don't have that fetish, and it's not an issue. Some
Yeah,
people do.
luckily you don't, Greg.
Yeah, I feel so sorry for those guys, those poor fucks. It's like, oh, the only way I can get off
Sorry
is to put out
for
a
them.
4-year-old. No, I hate them. I want them to die, but it's also by the grace of God. What if your sexuality was that way? You were wired that way. Where, ooh, an 8-year-old girl turns me on. That would suck. It would just be this horrible thing.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially
Yeah.
if you choose to embrace it, No.
No, that's what I'm
But-
saying.
And
But
say
even
that
if
it's,
you-
you're
but even
wired
if
that
you
way.
don't do
But
it.
even if you don't, that's a problem. See, I don't know. Call me old school.
Hello,
But
old
people that
school.
have really divergent views like that. That's not. I was wired this way. No, you're fucked up, dude, girl, whatever.
Yeah, you're
That's not.
fucked up.
That's not. Well, this is what makes me feel good. I don't give a shit. Sorry.
I know, I don't either. It's not like I'm saying let him off, be nice to him. I'm saying it's like, thank God. I'm like, did you ever read a lot about serial killers? That was all popular in the 90s to read about serial killers. And it's like, those guys, basically the only way they're usually sexually dysfunctional. The only way they can get off is by murdering people. So how do you tell them, like, you're doing evil, stop? It's like, some are probably very ethical. There's a handful of ethical ones who are like, I just can't do this. I'll be miserable the rest of my life and never get what I want. Most of us can get laid and be like, wow, I got laid. Hooray for me.
You're saying there's a handful of ethical serial
I
killers?
bet there are. Remember we talked about this on an episode. We talked about evil. And there could be people with evil urges who resist them their whole life. They have evil urges, but they're ethical enough to not do it. But it's a thing. They got to think about it. They got to be like, I'd like to kill
But they
them.
wouldn't be ethical serial killers, Greg.
If they
They would just be
didn't do
people
it.
who don't follow up on certain impulses.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So
Well,
that takes an incredible.
It gets into the whole It gets into the whole. But he's a serial killer who only kills the bad guy.
Like Dexter, yeah.
Yeah, who's a real person.
No, I'm just saying.
Well,
no,
even if he was or wasn't, the idea is like, oh, we give him a pass because he killed bad people.
And Greg is the one who determines if a person's bad or not.
No, Dexter
Well-
does too, and I think that's a good thing. If you are a serial killer who can't stop yourself from killing, Yeah, kill some other serial killers and pedophiles. Please do.
What if he makes a mistake and he kills somebody who's not a serial killer? What do you
The
do
show
then, Greg?
somehow he's always right. Strangely enough, just like every vigilante movie you've ever seen, it's like, yeah, vigilantism looks great, like Death Wish. Yeah, but he'd be wrong sometimes, and he'd be just shooting some guys like, oh wait, that wasn't the guy who killed my wife. Fuck,
Yeah.
he looked like him.
It's like Batman does that too.
Exactly. Well, he doesn't kill ever, so it's not as bad.
He does now. He kills now.
That doesn't.
He
Really.
does. He kills people left and right, Greg. Constantly. He is the serial killer of all serial killers, is Batman. Well, anyway, so
You take
before
that piece of shit.
we
You
need to
take
get
that
back to
right now.
our client. Our client, before we forget, is a pocket full of climate change. So, one of the arguments against the climate change models is that models are unreliable. You can't trust the models that they use.
In the
to say
scientific
that-
models,
Yes, exactly.
so they deny
But-
that the fastest we've ever had a climate change. They
But
say,
the truth
don't know.
is, but the truth is, models change over time because we learn things. So models become more reliable over time. So models, I don't know, whatever. 50
Some
years
models are
ago-
unreliable, especially when they start doing heroin and they get involved with the wrong guys.
and that's true too.
Yeah, can't trust those
they
models.
become
Models,
anorexic.
any model with the daddy issue is already a problem.
That's part of Greg's step porn. Is the bigger issue, I think. All right, another one. Antarctica is gaining ice. It's gaining
What?
ice, they're saying.
What? Who says that?
Well, the people who are
Exxon?
denying climate change. Yeah,
Exxon.
Exxon.
Certain
There
things-
are glaciers that are gaining ice. It's true. That
Just
is
like
true.
I've never heard.
Because they're getting colder.
I've talked to a lot of these guys. I've never heard anyone bring that one up.
Yeah.
All of them say that all the climate deniers, because I don't know how many of those people you guys have talked to. I talked to you should talk to lots of them. No one ever said that ice wasn't receding or that there wasn't a change in the way that, but it was mostly on the side of, well, this happens all the time. It'll swing the other way. I know I made that argument about rate of change and all that, but
It's not man's
somebody
fault.
saying that gaining more ice. Who? What? Alex Jones, who was.
Well, that's
This-
part of it. There was a documentary a few years back called Chasing Ice, where they were documenting the melting of the glaciers. And they were showing the hard evidence of it. In other words, video footage of how fast the glaciers were melting. And so people who were on the opposing side of that were talking about all the various glaciers in different parts of the world that were gaining ice. But it doesn't make up anywhere near the amount that's being lost. So that's part of the issue there too.
Huh.
So
And you know what they say? I think I brought this up before. The really scary thing is the permafrost in the Antarctic, which has trapped all the carbon dioxide. Once we get to the layer where it's melted enough that the carbon dioxide starts coming out, it's just going to be a fucking spiral. It's like tons of carbon dioxide is going to be released. It's going to get warmer. More carbon dioxide will be released. So that point is going to basically be the point of no return. All of our recycling and carbon emissions, it's not going to fucking matter. It's going to be this shit show. It's going to be the day after tomorrow.
Let's
That
just,
movie.
I thought you were
just
saying
all-
it's literally going to be the day after tomorrow.
yeah, let's just all walk hand in hand into the ocean. Fuck this. I agree. It's all meaningless.
No, I'm saying it's
washing your
like-
garbage and recycling. Jesus, what are you?
No, I'm not.
kidding?
I still
You're
recycle.
rearranging
like a
deck chairs on a sinking ship.
Have
Just
you not
embrace
gotten
it.
a paper straw yet since you've been in Portland, Brendan?
No, I haven't.
You haven't experienced the
should.
paper straws
motherfucker.
yet?
Turtle
Because
killers.
that's going to add to your outrage at a certain point.
There's some good ones. There's some good recyclable straws
I
that
don't- I
don't
don't
break
mind-
up.
I don't
Some
really.
are
I'm not a
nasty.
straw. I'm not a straw guy.
That's true. You drink out of the can.
Brendan's gonna love this. Brendan been to like a bar or a coffee house where the guy said he actually asked, "Do you want a turtle killer?" Instead of asking me if I want a straw.
I don't know if Brendan's familiar with this whole turtle killing thing.
Oh, it was a popular video on YouTube of these oceologists.
Oceologist? It's like,
Oceanologist?
oh, see that? Is that the person?
Oh, see,
They're from Orange County.
geologists.
Apparently,
They were
They're
positive
the people who
straws-
are like study the
I-
Star Spangled Banner or something.
Oh,
oceanologists who they're finding like these plastic straws are choking the oceans, and all these turtles are dying with like straws stuck in their nose. They're dying of asphyxiation and shit, and they have to pull them out.
All I remember was there was a whatever, a half an hour on YouTube and some other social media channels. There was a what were they called? V something girls, and they
Viet Cong?
No, they had puka necklaces. They had a whole thing, and one of the things they all had was these water bottles with the metal straws.
Yeah.
And they were always like, they signed off their videos like, gotta save the turtle.
Yeah. So it's a thing.
Awful. It was an awful thing that happened.
If you saw one of these videos, you'd be it's so sad. These
That's actually how Greg for a while was signing off on his comic book podcast.
What? With this around my nose?
No, you would say, "Save the turtles." That's a,
oh, I wish.
It was the perfect sign off, actually, for you.
Yeah, it's not as bad as passing out and snoring for half an hour. That would have been better.
No, it was one of those trends that was kind of up and coming, and I saw how possibly Dagny could have got involved in it, so I kind of learned a little bit about it, and then just sort of
made your turn to the left and kept going.
But I got to say, though, as someone who recycles and does the organic recycling, I still do it religiously. I'm just like, why am I doing this? We're fucked.
What do you do with all your cigarette butts, Greg? Do you carry them with you?
No, I used to a lot more, but I've been bad the past year.
You just been flicking them out into the streets?
But for the most part, I do just throw them away.
For the most part.
I'm a lot better than most people. I know people.
I'm better than that guy.
No, you wouldn't know how many people are right near an ashtray and they're just like flicking on the ground. It's like, I mean, I don't want to. I used to put them in my pocket for 10 years, 15 years. I'd be like, I'm in Portland. This place is beautiful.
You would literally hold on to cigarette butts for 10 years in your pockets.
No, for 10 years, I'd put them in my pockets
cigarette
and then throw them away as soon as I could.
For at least 10 goddamn
and then as soon as I found a garbage receptacle, I'd throw them away.
Making sure he came across to Portland.
But I gotta say,
Greg, let him continue. I want to hear where he's going with this.
Okay, I didn't even know.
Stop interrupting Brendan. Brendan,
he
go ahead.
interrupted me. That's okay, but this is funnier than what I'm doing. So please interrupt me.
I'm done. I just went off on a tangent when you were talking about putting cigarettes in your pocket. So I started writing a Tom Waits song about it.
I thought you were masturbating.
Wow.
Step cigarette butt porn.
Because that voice was just like, because that's the sounds I make.
Oh, is
when
it?
I come.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's information I think no one needed to know.
No one wanted all right. Okay.
Fantastic. Well, okay. I think that brings us to a good closing point to end off with our final segment, of course.
So
Final
we've
segment
solved climate change, you're saying?
What'd you say, Greg?
We've solved climate change? Is that what
Not
you're
that
saying?
we've solved it, but we've helped out our client, I think, to a certain point where they can make a rational decision to actually look things up on Google instead of listening to us.
To Uncle Frank.
Right. Cousin Wilma.
Aunt Wilma.
Who you,
That's right.
go do things with behind the taco hut. Because they don't have Taco Bells in North Dakota. They've only got Taco Huts.
Is that a real thing? Taco Hut?
It can be if you start the franchise.
That sounds so low rent.
I think there was a Taco Hut. I swear to you, I think there was.
There's got to be a Taco Hut somewhere.
Taco Shack.
A little place where you sell tacos in a hut.
Taco Outhouse.
Here's your taco, sir.
Taco Outhouse would be the appropriate place, I think.
Here's your taco.
He was serving a taco to you, Greg. You didn't even accept
Would you
it.
like a taco?
I'll take it. I wish I had a taco right now. I wish I was real.
I wish I had a taco.
I'm
Oh,
starving.
I really do. If I had a taco, wouldn't have to talk to you. Okay, so
What is that?
it's a little song I made up just for you.
Oh, it's not that parent Weird Al
The
thing.
taco
Is that a
song.
song I should know?
It's a little Alienation taco song.
Is
what
that a
that
Van
is.
Morrison Weird Al thing? Riff?
Yeah, they work together. It's Weird Van Yankovic.
Weird Van Morrison.
Vankovic. Anyway, all right, so we're going to get into our final segment of the show. Here it is. This is the last word with Brendan Haggerty, All right, I think the way that this should work, Greg, is that we provide him with a final subject to give his opinion about as the last word of the show.
Portland social justice warriors versus Brendan. Nothing lives here.
Social justice warriors are mainly just online, Greg. They're not like
no, they're in Portland.
They don't leave social media.
I know
that's where the term comes from.
I haven't really experienced anything. Outside of, look, it's like Portland's weird, and bravo, as I told you, Matt, bravo on all the quirky names you guys came up with. Just fantastic. Friday, I'm in love. I'm frame. Fantastic. But everybody's weird in different ways. It's just more creatively weird here than it is in Florida, where it's just more barbarically weird. It's just road warrior weird. You're like the guy coming out of the Circle K or the 7-Eleven with no pants on, and the underwear he does have on looks like he hasn't changed them in a while. And I've seen some of that here too, but I don't know. It's all weird. It's just different. But was it social justice warriors?
Shoot, I'll live in Portland.
What I really want to talk about is the amount of just strangely unimaginative exclusionary practices that young professionals seem to have in Portland relative to, renting a room. They're renting a room.
Yes,
in a house.
This is the one I want to hear. Yes, do it.
In a fucking house they don't own, that's owned by some corporation out of fucking San Francisco. So they all live in this nice little house that this corporation bought, and they're probably making bank on because they're all paying like practically fucking rent for a room. But it's like the Brady Bunch, so they're all there. So once you get into one of these places with this company, like you're the first person in their 6-bedroom fucking Hotel California, once you're there, you start to establish who can come and who can stay. So you set, one of the things you said is your age parameters, not like smoking or heavy drinker or like serial killer, but shit like age. Some of the places, I started with 20 in the kind of the area I was looking for. When I put that would agree with that met with my ideal roommate, I didn't expect I'd get 18 out of 20. So anyway, point was, some of the places were like literally 32 to 36 or 35 to 29. I'm like, dude, so you just want to live with people kind of in the same age you went to high school with, but you're a young, cool professional in your 30s? No, you're not. You're a child.
Well,
I almost took one of these places, a place out in Gresham, that there's no one there yet. Like I could go in and I could establish my own little fiefdom and then like have no one under 40 can rent here and these kids can come in at night. I'm like, no, go away, you piece of shit child. But
I would have just like punk rock.
Yeah, only old punk rockers can live here.
All right, this was an outstanding last word with Brendan Haggerty today.
Can I just say,
this is what I've been wanting to happen.
I know this is the last word, but I do want to say, when I was looking for places, if you want to live inner southeast of Portland, move into a place, the restrictions are out the fucking wazoo. It's like looking for a vegan, non-cisgendered roommate to move in. Like if I wanted to move out to Gresham, the not the cool parts of Portland, yeah, nobody cares about anything. But then all the inner southeast ones where I wanted to live because I don't have a car, we're like, oh my god, like this is like harder than getting the FBI. It's like, you need a background check about my political leanings and how I feel about veganism and how old I am. It's like they've locked up because they're all like Trustafarians, those young politically correct kids. So they've got all the best places in like inner southeast, like Hawthorne, and they get to say, "You're not cool enough or hip enough to be with us."
Right. Exactly. That was kind of my point. But Yeah, it's sad.
It's sad. It's sad for everyone all over the world. Anyway, that was the last word with Brendan Haggerty, and that wraps up this particular episode of the Law Offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker. Next week, we have a very special guest, Eileen Shapiro. She'll be here. I'll get you guys a bio on her. You'll find her fascinating. And this weekend, Brendan, Greg, and I, the entire Law Offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker, are going to Boise, Idaho, and we'll be documenting our trip there with video and what have you, and Greg's burping and issues that he and I will have with our CPAP and BiPAP machines and whatever else, whatever other
Can
things.
I just want to wear my Mickey Mouse ears to bed. Is that okay? That's all I got. Okay.
It'll be more fun because Brendan and Greg will be sharing a room together. I'll have my own room, so that'll be the best. Now that Greg has his own CPAP machine, he won't be like snoring too loud. I can retake the room I was going to give him. Why wouldn't you bring it with you?
You should bring it with you.
Don't you want to be able to breathe and sleep?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, yeah. If I'm sharing a room, I don't want our last conversation to be, I wish I would have brought it.
You don't want that to be the last word from Greg?
Oh, no. I could, once I fall asleep, I'm done. I'm a heavy sleeper. So it's just getting to sleep that's the problem.
Yeah. So anyway, so this has been the Law Offices, Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker. We're going to end off our TikTok live right now. Nobody's watching right now anyway. We got two whole likes this time.
Bear. I just want to say goodnight to Pooh Bear. Good night, Pooh.
You can say that to YouTube because that is ending now. The live stream
Pooh Bear
is ending.
Your consultation with the Law Offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker has ended. You may pay your retainer at www.qsblaw.org. Please exit to the right of the water cooler and grab a candy from the front desk. We hope to see you again soon, but you need to leave now. I said leave. Why don't they listen? Get out! Get out!